Nyrolf. Let's do a Scandinavian. Do this line, bring the knight out to round up the pawn, and okay, I think I'll take with the knight. It can still get kicked. Let's try bringing the knight out on this side. I usually bring it back to the other side, but this way, and try and open things up for your bishop quickly. So if I play c5 and he takes, is that a problem? Maybe. Maybe it is. If I play knight to d7, then he can push this pawn, and that will make things awkward for this knight. And maybe I have to play here first. That way, when I play knight d7 and he kicks my knight, if he kicks it, I can move my knight to d5, protected by the pawn. He trades. It'll be a funny pawn structure with this advanced c-pawn, but I think it's not too bad for me. Queen there. Okay, so maybe one idea is to hit this knight and then get some pressure on this pawn. So I'll keep the bishop there, defending it for a while. Can I play e5 ever? Maybe. Exchange off this knight and then play e5. Okay, this does leave this pawn undefended here for a moment, so he could try and exploit that immediately. Aha. He doesn't allow me e5. He didn't take advantage of the pawn here. The possibility to capture that pawn. What's he thinking about? What's to do other than take? I guess he has to decide whether to take with the rook or the knight. I took with the knight. Okay. So maybe just queen here, here. So if I go here, you might put the bishop there. Then I could put my knight here to kick the bishop back. Yeah, let's go here. It defends the pawn, gets out of the way of the rook. So now he's got some idea, maybe pushing here, bring my knight here. Yeah, well, I have to kick that bishop immediately. The queen is on this diagonal, but when the pawn comes forward, I can block the diagonal with my knight. So I think I'm okay. I have to remember not to play this move. It's kind of tempting, right? If, for example, the bishop goes here, you play this move to fork those two pieces. And then he plays this move here with check. I think that would be pretty bad. Oh no, I could still move my knight. I could still move my knight and block the check. I guess that would still work. I was thinking it was a double attack and he'd win the knight, but moving the knight solves both problems. Nyrolf. So Nyrolf is thinking here. He can't really move this knight with check. He can do something like take here, but then I can take his bishop. I mean, it's a wacky sacrifice, but I don't think it works. But I guess he's searching for some tactic like that. This is a very dangerous kind of lineup, so that's why I moved my knight immediately to try and take care of that problem. What else can he do besides move the bishop? Or maybe he's just trying to decide where to go with the bishop. It could go here, here, or here. Not too attractive. He's going to ignore it. Okay, that's possible too. He was trying to set up another tactic where he chases this knight first, and then he does this pawn push. But now that's not happening. Or if it is happening, it's not dangerous. I'm going to go here to attack the pawn. Also from there, it attacks this square and maybe the queen. And it's all even. His pieces are very active, though. I mean, materially, it's even. Got weaknesses on the dark squares maybe he can exploit. Yep, another deep think from my opponent. Move the queen. Okay, let's go ahead and move the knight. Actually, I could push this pawn first and then move the knight. Does that help? I mean, he might just be trying to squash me here. He maneuvered the queen like that. He could have gone there directly. Okay, now he's hoping to take advantage of this pin here. Yeah, let's open this up here. Trade off one pair of rooks. Trade off another pair of rooks. It's tough when there's only one open file. You don't usually get this kind of thing where the pieces just get exchanged off. The heavy pieces just get exchanged off on that square. So I can check and take this pawn, although my queen will be out of play. But if I don't get mated, I'll be up a pawn. Yeah, it's possible I get mated, but so taking lets his queen in there. Let's drop back and defend. want to play a5, I think. Yeah, he's positioning himself that way. a5. This pawn can't go anywhere, right? Okay, I'm liking the look of this. So knight here to keep this defended. And then push. I would like to be able to push this pawn without losing this one. So I need my queen here. And I need my queen here. Hard to say. Hard to say what the right answer is here. Goes there, huh? Ah, sitting my knight. So I push this pawn, his knight takes there and hits my queen. Go somewhere where the knight's not hitting my queen. And he ran out of time. Well, it's more than one way to win a game. I'll accept that. Yeah, let's play a rapid game. Well, score one for the old Scandinavian. Okay, let's start off with d4. 2166. Oops. There may be trouble here. Trouble in River City. So he's offering to play a French defense. If I play e4, and if I play c4, he can play a Dutch defense. It's a very flexible move. He didn't want to play either of those. He just wanted to play a Queen's Gambit. That's okay. Okay, I can continue to develop here. I don't need to defend this pawn just yet. There's still queen check and take. But I don't really intend to sacrifice that pawn gambit style. I want to defend it. So he can play the Moran variation. Takes, I take, and then he chases my bishop. Oh, not that's sorry. That the Moran variation is only when the pawn is already on c6. So he's playing something different. He's keeping that pawn back. I'm just going to develop. So I'm out of theory. Maybe he's saving a tempo over those lines by getting in c5 in a single move. Okay, so here's a tricky bit. Can I play e4? It's defended. This is defended. It opens up a diagonal for my bishop. If I play e4, he will play c5. Pretty sure. And his bishop is here, so there's not this old threat of e4, e5 forking, which you have in some lines. So e4, c5, pawn to d5, takes, knight takes, bishop takes. When I play knight takes, I lose this pawn. Let's get the rook here first, so that my e-pawn will be defended even if I move this knight away. Okay, so it is a rapid game, and he was playing out his prepared opening, I guess, but he's stopping to think now. There's always this maneuver here with the knight, kicking my bishop. It's an idea for black. There's also this one. He goes for b6, so he's going to develop his bishop here. So he wants more pressure on the e-pawn. So let's push now before he gets the bishop there. Okay, yeah, and he didn't play c5. So I can hold on to that pawn, or I can push it forward. I push. Knight here. Knight takes. Bishop takes, pawn takes. I think that kind of structure is good for me with this advanced e-pawn. So he's got a good bishop. He did manage to get a good bishop out of that. And he has the idea of playing c5 now to undermine my pawn. So I am recognizing some weaknesses with my approach. Let's see if I can get in b4. Yeah, there's c5. Let's develop the bishop. If he takes and I take, then he's got an isolated pawn as well. We both have that isolated pawn. And also, this pawn can be pushed forward to open up the diagonal for the bishop, so no need to worry about that. Now, if I play b4 now and he takes, he's got the bishop behind it. So he would win a pawn, and yeah, that bishop would be on a good diagonal there too. Be a bit annoying. So if I push e5 immediately, it's forking the knight and the pawn. So the knight will move probably here. Then I can take here with check. King takes. King is on a light square. My knight can come in here with check. I kind of like it. Let's try it. Or, I'm sorry, he doesn't move the knight, he just takes here, doesn't he? Well, moving the knight was one possibility, but taking the pawn is probably what will happen. But that activates my rook anyway, so no problem. Now I can take here and take this pawn with my queen. That's tempting. So I take here. Now let's do this first, not lose my rook. I take here. It does open up the diagonal for his bishop. So I take the pawn. Bishop takes my pawn. I lift my rook here, hit his bishop. He defends the bishop or moves it, I guess. And then I play queen takes pawn, hitting his rook. Hopefully keeping his queen tied down. His queen maybe could make me on the back rank, but the knight is still here. So all that means I think I can take this pawn. I mean, I'm trading a wing pawn for a center pawn. Usually that's a good deal. Oh, this goes with check too. I can take there first. So he defends that pawn, which means I should keep taking. And he's hitting my bishop, huh? If I drop my bishop here, he can still take. He can't push, or can he? No, he can't. I've got 3 pieces on that square. How about if I push the pawn? He takes my bishop, I take his knight. If he moves the knight, then I move the bishop. Again, if he takes my bishop, I can take here with check. So he moved the knight. So I'll move the bishop here, I guess. Ah, he goes there. Interesting. So knight here. Bishop takes, rook takes. Pawn here. Oh, if I throw my pawn forward, the bishop will just take here. Can I dislodge his queen somehow? It's tough. It's on a light square. Okay, if I put my rook here and he takes the pawn, and I go here, and he takes this pawn. Yeah, I don't like that. So I defend the pawn. And unpin it. Yeah, it's too bad I couldn't quite arrange for I wanted to play rook here and then pawn there and take advantage of that pin, but I couldn't quite arrange it. Could not quite do that. So let's see where he throws his knight now. Maybe back here to advance the pawn. I can put my queen here to pin the pawn, and then bring a rook over. Keep in mind that the queen is looking at my rook, so wherever I move my queen to, I have to be sure I keep that rook defended. So he went there. still kind of like this idea of pinning the pawn. Yeah, so I go here. He can't push the pawn. So this square is momentarily safe, and I can put the rook here. Get it out of the glare of the bishop of the queen. Still keeping in mind I've got a back rank, got a weak back rank I have to be careful of. The best pawn move would be that one, because it would help keep his bishop out. Rather than this one, he could put his bishop on this diagonal and I'd still have a back rank problem. But this pawn move weakens the knight, so maybe knight here. After I get the rook here, knight here, pawn up. Something like that. Or if he trades off this bishop, then I can lift with this pawn. Yeah, so rook over, keep that pawn from coming forward. Well, I think he played a good game. He did get a one pawn advantage out of that, all of that. Oh no, actually it's materially even, isn't it? I was thinking this was an extra pawn, but actually that pawn and this pawn are the extra pawns, so the number of pawns is even. So I have a slightly better structure, except he has a passed pawn, so passed pawns are like dangerous criminals. They must be kept under lock and key, as Nimzovich liked to say. And I have to be careful. Yeah, lifting my rook here could be a problem because of the back rank. But he conveniently shifted his rook. Yeah, well, he had to defend that, I guess. And he couldn't defend it with the knight. So, bishop time or knight? Something to blockade here. If I trade queens, it brings us into an end game where he's got a passed pawn, but it's in the center. If I had an active king, that might be good enough to hold, and maybe I could even try and get an outside passed pawn. So there is possibilities for this end game for me. So I could do something like a queen here and then kick the queen. Or I could kick the queen first. I guess if I go here, he might be tempted to trade just to save his pawn. But of course he could move his pawn forward. Oh, he wanted to trade. Okay. Now let's watch out for that back rank. Okay, starting with the knight move. I'll drop my rook back. Maybe push all the way forward here. The knight could come to this square, hitting my bishop. My bishop could go here, hitting his rook. The bishop went there. Okay, I see. The knight. The knight is hitting this pawn and the bishop. Yeah, I don't like that. My bishop was in an active spot. I had to give that up. But it seemed necessary. If I move my knight here, attacking his rook and this pawn, what's he going to do? Is he going to move his rook here or just drop it back? Okay, let's start creating something going on this side. Try and get something going on this side. Yeah, look at the time. So he's caught up with me in this time usage. Next, I'm going to try and bring my king out carefully. Gotta watch out for various checks and things. Well, it's covered at the moment. Yeah, he's got the same idea. I think I want to get my king up to f3 here. I might do this, bong bong, after my king is on f3. So he goes for the trade now. So the famous rook versus knight. Pawn here is check. He takes, I take, it's still check. So unless he moves his rook here, he can't really stop me from getting that going. His knight check. He has a knight check here or here. This one covered by the bishop. Yeah, so his knight is dominating my bishop at the moment. Let's see if we can find a way to liberate it. I mean, I can always move it at the cost of a pawn here. So I just have to find something worth more than a pawn. He gave up. He wants to find another way to break through. He wants to attack my bishop. Or maybe come in here with check. And I want to, he wants to go there with the knight. Here. Anyway, let's go ahead and do this. Drive his king back. Then you can continue like so. Yeah, maybe I can bring my king in. Oops, excuse me. Bring my king in like this and attack this pawn. That would be nice. Looks like it's not happening though. Let's see. So if I go here, he takes. I take back. Or I could take. King takes and then step up. Actually, yeah, I think that's better. I take. Then I step up. I'm ready to go to this square. Yeah, so he doesn't like that. Maybe I should have just pushed the pawn. But I don't want to get into a position where I can't save it. Huh? I push, he attacks with the king, and it's pretty much over. Yeah, I got that endgame with the outside pass pawn that I wanted. Let's see if I can make it, push it through. I see. He's got a knight here. You can put the knight there. How do I control that with the bishop? I push, knight here, push again, knight here, knight queen. I push. What's he going to do? He'll attack with the king. I defend. Then he brings the knight out. Then I check. Maybe it works. This is a tough game. Yeah, so I push again. Or I defend. Yeah, it looks like this isn't going to work. He can bring his king over. Oh no, but I have my bishop check here. That's what it was. That's what I wanted. I wanted that bishop check. He wants to attack my rook. Had another idea. Oh, he spotted it. Okay. Shoot, I'm helping him out here. Pinning that pawn, but now he's attacking my king, yeah. I think I'm going to abandon ship here, as it were, and just take this pawn. did my best. Maybe there was a way to make that work. I don't know. But against a strong player, a draw is not a bad result for me. I have white, so I would like to win. I was playing for a win, but you can't always get that. Yeah, and that's a draw. Okay, well, that was an interesting session. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Bye now.